Mr. Pro Tem and members of the council and also audience, we go back to this ordinance when I was elected around October. It was, let's go to 05, 06, and a few other years in between. And I have to speak from the just logic. I stand here no way as somebody who knows every aspect of the Bible. My daddy was a preacher, and believe me, my daddy taught me some new words as a preacher when I brought the car home 1 hour late. But what I'm seeing here, and I left my Bible there. But if you look at the Bible, virtually the Bible is normally referred to as broken down into two parts: the New Chapter and the Old Chapter. And sometimes people want to take arguments of this kind of nature and just try to simplify them and then throw out sin. And that's all you see. That person is sinful, that person is sinful, that person is sinful. Yet, when you go and look at both the Old Testament, like I said, it talks about sin. And the New Testament talks about sin. And then you look at the fact that there were laws governing what happened in the Old Testament and the New Testament. And there are a lot of complicated things that were said in both of those books. But here, what's disheartening is we find ourselves trying to interpret the Old Testament and the New Testament and telling people exactly how they should live. But let's go and look at some things that happen in those books. For example, the woman at the well and what happened there. For example, when you heard the words, "He who is without the first stone." And then you go on and on and on. There were rules that said that if an animal was in a bar on the weekend, let that animal stay there until it was the regular week. And there were a lot of different things that came up in this whole force called the Bible. And the Bible is not a clearly written piece of paper right now, because you even hear minister ponder over some of the words that were used in the Bible. But let me make this very clear. Regardless of what category you want to put on somebody, lay on somebody, what name you want to give somebody, I'm still very much assured of this fact, that we all have sinned and come short of God. But now we find out that people want to judge sin. Well, there's a judgment book called the Ten Commandments. So then let's take that for example. If I stole a banana, is that a 2 or is that a 6? If I broke into a house, is that a 7 or is it a 3? So all of a sudden, other than the Ten Commandments and blaspheming God, we've turned into a group of people who choose by our own rules to label people sinful and where they are. And I suggest to you the further and further you go into labeling somebody, in some cases you're shying away from both the Old Testament and the New Testament. And you just go and look at how much sin was committed in the Bible. David had a concubine, and he had so many concubines, he couldn't get around to all of his concubines in 1 year. But David yet was a beloved member of the Christian family. And there are many, many more cases that can come about. But I want to talk about just a couple of more things, and I don't want to buy the time. If you, by chance, in this room right now, and there's no EMS here, but you pass out, and you need to be resuscitated, if that person who comes to your need to resuscitate you and bring you back to life, would you refuse to be brought back to life, or just lay down and die? And that's a question fundamentally that we all have to answer. We are quick to call people sinners, but there are a lot of sins being committed by people in this room. I raise my hand. I have sinned. I have fallen short of God. But I don't go around pretending to present or act as if I am higher than somebody else because they committed a sin that may not be the one that I committed. And when you look at it, the last statement I'll make, we all have fallen short. And some people just want to base this argument simply on Jesus Christ. But go back again. On Easter, Good Friday, and on Easter Sunday, one of the most joyous days that are celebrated in the religious circles, is dealing with the fact that on that Friday, there was a sinner. And Jesus was on this cross and two sinners. There was one guy that was unrepentant of his sins. There was another guy wondering, why should this man be tried here? Because he didn't see anything wrong that man had done. But God had mercy on that person who asked him this simple question: remember me when you come into your kingdom. The debate from this point on should be how we can mend the differences between each other. Not whether a person is gay, lesbian, or whatever title you choose to put on that person. Because you do not know what will happen in the future. But know you may be at the hands of the same person you choose to criticize now. And that could be the person who could save your life. I'll go one more. Let's say that a doctor has assembled his whole team to provide open heart surgery for a person. Tell me what person is going to turn around and order the doctor or ask the doctor before he or she is about to go under, hey, doctor, is that person gay? Is it lesbian or what? No. Nobody. You know what you want to do? You want to live. You want the best person who can apply the surgical techniques for you to live. So I ask you, and I will stay in favor of this, because I think sometimes we overstep our bounds. I will stay in favor of this and ask us to pray for one another, to begin to look and see exactly who we really are and what our roles. There's some ministers here who would tell you that they have sinned. But always be that statue of liberty of life. And regardless of the condition you may think that person is, let God continue to be the final arbiter. And you reach your arms out and say, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free. God, thank you.